Well, Treasurer Jim Chalmers will use talks in Washington to push Australia's role in securing key minerals as part of a new national stockpile. Joining us live is the Shadow Resources and Northern Australian Minister, Susan McDonald. Minister, thank you very much for joining us. Yes, a big discussion there. No doubt we've got plenty of critical minerals here in Australia, very high in demand, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. And Australia has an important part to play in being a part of this supply chain, particularly for our allies, for AUKUS, for the Five Eyes. These are supply chains that we need to be part of securing. But, you know, we've been warning for years that Labor needs to be ensuring the supply of these critical minerals, and that means ensuring mining. That means not introducing more legislation like the EPBC. It means reducing the costs of processing. And, you know, if we just talk about gallium for a second, I mean, that is a byproduct of bauxite mining, and yet bauxite processing is on its knees. And in fact, that industry is at real threat of closure. Much like nickel, much like other industries, because of the government's policy. So, you know, important policy, one that we've got to get right. But it's not just about the announcement, it's about the execution. And that's what this government is really failing to understand, what it means to be a miner in Australia.
Antimony and gallium, as you mentioned, on the critical minerals list, but uranium is not. Why?
Another excellent question, Janie. Uranium, we have a third of the world's resources. The US has made legislative decisions not to bring in enriched uranium from Russia and the countries where they've traditionally secured their uranium from. It makes absolute sense that Australia should be supplying not only to the US, but to Japan and Korea, other ones of our allies, that enjoy the benefits of zero emissions nuclear and baseload nuclear energy. So for all of those reasons, Australia is poised to capitalise on this worldwide demand for important minerals, but it is absolutely critical that Labor understands that mining is on its knees. Our small caps are struggling with approvals processes. Our bigger miners are looking at how do they have the lower cost of productions that allows them to compete on a worldwide stage. We're not the only ones with these important minerals, rare earths. And so for those reasons, policies like the Junior Explorers Incentive, like lower electricity prices, these are all incredibly important. And I'm just not sure that the Treasurer understands that his strategic reserve cannot be in competition to our existing customers. This cannot be about trying to drive out those existing players. It must be about how we supply more of these minerals to more of our customers.
Well, back on uranium, which is used for nuclear energy, for civil and weaponry, but we have it for civil and we certainly, export it, as you know. But I mean, you look at Meta over the weekend, they made one of the most significant corporate purchases in nuclear energy in the US history, with agreements from Bill Gates, TerraPower, Vista and Oklo. I mean, that was a huge announcement.
It is. And in Australia, we are keen to see onshore data centres. We're keen to be a part of the modern first world technology that Australia should be embracing. We have always been a leader in designing and implementing first world technology, but we need low-cost, reliable energy in order to do that. Nuclear should be part of it in order to support exactly the sort of businesses that you've identified who are looking at zero emissions, reliable electricity provision for decades to come. And that's what we need to be planning for. But uranium is, as you say, just the first step. We have huge reserves. We have known reserves. We have proven supply chains out of ports like Australia. This is something that we do really well. We have the expertise and we have the skill set. We have the security settings. But we've already seen that Labor failed last year when we had a shipment of antimony that was supposed to be delivered to a US customer. It was stopped in China. we seem to have no ability to be able to understand what is the nuts and bolts of how Australia is a trusted, reliable supplier to our defence allies and to our trading partners. That's what the Treasurer has got to get right, and no doubt he'll be hearing about that when he gets to the US.
We'll be watching closely. We've got to go, Senator, but we know that you've travelled to the flood-affected areas in Queensland. We'll have you on another time to talk about that. We'd love to see you again. Thank you.